Good afternoon. My name is Nick Hacheney, and on behalf of the Concerned Lifers organization, I'd love to thank you for being here and welcome you to our 2016 conference, Breaking the Life Cycle 4, Reconciling with Our Community. This is an amazingly good-looking group of people. I mean, there are just some really good-looking people out there. I see we've got some dignitaries in the room. We're glad to have our secretary here, Mr. Morgan. Thanks for coming out today. I see a bunch of folks from the LSJ program. Good to have you folks here. Got some dignitaries. I see Senator Jeannie Darnell. There you are. I saw you over there. It's great to have you. Too many to name. How many people are here in prison for the first time? Congrats. You have made it into the American prison system. Fantastic. I want to tell you that this group of people that you're sitting next to is a lot better looking group of people than my first day of prison about 15 years ago. It was a lot less intimidating room than this one here. So good to have Jesse here, head of the UBB, University Beyond Bars. We'd really like to thank you for coming today. Not everybody wants to come and spend a Saturday in prison with a bunch of prisoners. So we really appreciate you being here. We want to give a special thanks to our superintendent, Mr. Oberlin, for making this event possible and also for your continued support of the CLO. It means a lot to have administration that we can work with. We'd also like to thank Ms. Peterson for her tireless efforts to help facilitate these events. It just wouldn't happen without her. Next, we'd like to thank all the sponsors and volunteers here today. These folks work to make these programs like the CLO, University Beyond Bars, Black Prisoners Caucus, they don't happen if we don't have sponsors, so we want to thank you for that. Mostly, we'd like to thank our guests for coming today. I have a couple of housekeeping things to take care of. There's going to be a break at 2:30, and if you are an outside visitor and if you cannot stay for the entire day, the 2:30 break is the break that you can exit at. We're hoping you stay the whole day, but if you don't exit at that 2:30, then you're in for the duration, as they say. There's guest bathrooms out the back door and across from the officer station. There's guest bathrooms. Please feel free to use those all day long. We're not going to have specific bathroom breaks, and if we did, it wouldn't work, so just use them as needed. Inmates, if you need to use the bathroom, the library inmate bathroom is open, and we'll use this door here. There's also bottled water in the back if you need to avail yourself of it. So the theme of our conference this year is reconciliation with our community. And we spent a lot of time trying to figure out through the course of the year at the CLO how we would articulate that message. How would we go about describing the desire of people inside prison to reconcile with the community on the outside. We watch the news every week and we see communities more divided than ever. The rhetoric and narrative has become extremely divisive. And sometimes it seems that it's more divided, groups are demonizing each other, and it seems to almost be at a place of beyond reconciliation. So how do we talk from inside prison as people who have been separate from society and the community? How do we talk about reconciling with that community? The one thing that we saw is that at any given hour, you can turn on the TV and find people screaming at each other. What you don't see a lot of is people sitting down and sharing their stories and talking, finding common ground. Narratives are developed that define a certain group, and it seems like those narratives then get baked into the discussion. So we thought it would be a good idea if we started the day with telling some of our stories. If that would be a place that we could just start to talk about where we have come from and what community means to us. So we've asked a few members of the CLO to come up and share a part of their story today. It seemed like a good place to start. We've also asked 3 members to prepare talks that dive a little bit deeper into this idea of community. We hope you'll be challenged by their presentations. Finally, we're going to hear from a very special guest, and I'm not going to steal the thunder by introducing her right now, but Miss Ayula Mitchell is here with us today, and we are extremely excited to hear from her. Then the second half of the day, we're going to break into a discussion panel, and there's going to be an opportunity for some of the members that spoke along with Ms. Mitchell, to participate in a discussion panel. That will be moderated by Professor Steve Herbert of the University of Washington Law Societies and Justice Program, a great friend of the CLO. The idea behind this discussion panel is to take points that have been made during the day and expand on them and look for ways to bridge divides. Look for solutions. What can we do to facilitate this idea of reconciliation with our community? So as the day progresses, if you have questions, inside your program there's a little card, and you can feel free to write down your question. If you'd like something to be discussed during the discussion panel, you can write it down on the card and you can hand it to one of the CLO steering committee. So at this time I'd like the CLO steering committee to please stand up. Stand up. All right, that's our steering committee. So if you see one of those guys and you have a card, go ahead and hand it to them. Once again, thanks for being here today. And with that, let's get the show started, shall we?